Hi, everybody. All right, now those were a few of Nick's uh, movies he's put out. We'll look at some more later, but I want to introduce Nick right now to all of you. And hello, Mr. Tate.
Hello, Todd.
How are
Hello,
you today?
everybody. I can't hear them, Todd. Are they saying anything?
Oh yeah, they're already starting to comment. Let me make sure everybody can hear us. I'll type something in. Sound good, everybody? If yes, yeah. Jan Winberg says hi to both of us.
Okay. See my Space 1999
I
posters
see
on the
that.
wall?
Nice.
Yeah. That's
Nice.
Martin Landau, Barbara Bain, and Tony Anholt, Catherine Schell. And then this one is Barry Morse, Prentice Hancock, myself. And why can't I? Gee, it's like left hand scratching the.
Yeah, you
right.
gotta go backward. It's opposite. Everything's backwards.
Yes, I'll just show you quickly. There's Mona there. She's filming the Baha'i video.
Ah, yes. Something I wanted to talk a little bit about while I have you.
Okay, indeed. Ask me anything you like.
Well, I don't know much about it, and I'm guessing that most of your fans may not know that you're part of that faith. So you're gonna have to explain to us what it's all about.
Okay, well, happily. I have been a Baha'i since 1994. I worked with an actress called Alona Rogers, who was a Baha'i. I had been a Christian for most of my life, but only by birth. When I discovered that all the rest of the people in the world can't get into heaven, according to the Christian faith, unless they accept that Jesus Christ is the one and only true Son of God. There's no way any of them will ever get into heaven. And I thought that that made the Christian faith to be an exclusive club. And I've got a lot of Jewish friends. I got a lot of Muslim friends. I got a lot of Baha'i friends now. I got a lot of friends that don't have any religion at all. And I just think it is crazy that if we have a life after this life that we're in, and that life is called heaven, then if we've led a relatively good life in the life that we're leading now, we should gain entrance to heaven because we are worthy, not because we belong to an exclusive club that only believes that Jesus is the only way in. It can't be so. There are so many wonderful Jewish people, wonderful Muslim people, wonderful Sikh people, and on it goes. And Baha'is, I've discovered. In fact, I love the Baha'is the most, for me, because they believe in the universality of mankind. Baha'is believe that all religions are basically one, that they come from one truth, and that is that there's only one God, and that we all call God something different. It doesn't matter whether you call it Allah or Yahweh or Krishna or God. It doesn't matter. The Baha'is look upon God as an unknowable essence. We can't begin to know what God is, whether he's a he or a she, but none of those things.
Right.
God is unknowable. It's like the Mona Lisa is painted by Leonardo da Vinci, but there's no way that the Mona Lisa knows Leonardo da Vinci. He was the creator of the Mona Lisa. She can't know him. She is merely an interpretation of his art. We are interpretations of God's art, of Krishna's art, of Allah's art. We are infinitesimal compared to whatever God is. He, she, it. I don't know. It's way beyond my understanding and capacity to even begin to. So why should I bother? I am so infinitesimal and so unimportant that, I love the Baha'i faith, and I love a lot of Christians. I love a lot of Muslims. I love a lot of Sikhs. I fortunately have been given a gift from whoever, whatever God is, that I accept other people, no matter what they are, whether they're black, white, green, or indifferent, and whether they're gay or not gay, and whether they have been in prison and out of prison again. Maybe people have done things that they didn't mean to do, and they're now accepted in a different way. I like to give people second chances, and I like to give people the opportunity to show to me who they are. And the best way for me to do that is to play golf with them, because if you don't talk about religion and you just play golf and you watch the other guy pick the ball up without putting it in, you watch the other guy kick the ball out from behind the tree, you know he's a cheat. You just see it straight away. And I try not to be a cheat. You know, if you're going to play a game, what's the point of picking the ball up before you put it in the hole? And I'm using golf as some sort of loose reference to that. We've got to play the game by the rules and play it straight, you know. And you're only cheating yourself if you pick the ball up. You're only cheating yourself if you lie about your score, because eventually when all the world is watching, and now they do with videos and so on, everybody can see that you're a liar and that you're a cheat and that you're not sincere. You know, we have to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And that's what I like about the Baha'i faith, that it believes that all people are equal and that they embrace every religion. In fact, the Baha'i faith believes that God comes to earth by way of a prophet once in every 500 to 900 years, or every 1,000 years, if you will. And we all, the people, and he comes to various areas on the planet. So you need to know what, for your time, what your prophet was teaching you, what Abraham taught his people, what Moses taught his people, what Krishna taught his people, what in the Muslim faith, Muhammad taught his people. And in the Baha'i era, there were two prophets. One is the Bab, and he said that he wasn't the prophet, that he was a herald of the prophet, and that prophet would be the glory of God. And that is pronounced, Baha'u'llah, glory of God. And it's even written in the Bible that they talk about the glory of God is a prophet. Well, turns out that that's, and for our understanding, that's Baha'u'llah. And Baha'u'llah had a son whose name was Abdul Baha. And when the and Baha'u'llah was born in Tehran, and the Muslim religion speaks of a recognition of a recoming of the prophets in the middle 1850s. But they said one of the proofs of the prophet is that everybody will deny that he is a prophet and they will try to kill him. But the real proof of his existence is that they can't kill him because he is the prophet. And those that deny him will, in trying to kill him, only prove that he can't be killed and that they will die a nastier death than they intended for him to experience. And so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. If they accuse somebody else of being a pretender, the proof of whether he is a pretender or he is not is when they try to kill him, he can't be killed because he's actually the prophet and they were wrong. They indeed will suffer a hideous death in trying to prove it, because that will be their fate. And so the double-edged sword is that for the Muslim people where he was born in Tehran that claimed that he was real, they embrace his faith, and they're called Baha'is. And the people that listened to the man before him, the Bab, they call themselves Babis. Babis, after they recognized, now the Bab said he wasn't the prophet, and the Muslim people said, well, stop talking about this pretender, this prophet person. They said that they would kill him if he wouldn't stop. And he wouldn't stop. He continued to talk about the coming of Baha'u'llah. But Baha'u'llah didn't present himself anywhere. In fact, Baha'u'llah was a man called Mazadi, and he didn't know that he was Baha'u'llah. He was a very young, wealthy son of a merchant. Not a merchant, actually. He was a merchant, but he worked for the Shah of the land, and he was one of his high officials. And the Shah said to him, I like your son. He's a wonderful young man. I would like him to come and work for me. So his father asked Baha'u'llah if he would come and work for the Shah, and he said, no, I don't wish to do that. I want to help the poor. And he would take his money and his time to go into the streets and befriend people that otherwise might be homeless and poor and wretched. He always helped people, and he embraced the Baha'i faith. So here he was, a Baha'i, not knowing that he was in fact at some point in time going to become Baha'u'llah. It's, people don't often know their destiny. In fact, none of us know our destiny at all.
No.
We might believe in hoping to become the head of a big corporation, or marrying a beautiful woman, or becoming a millionaire, all sorts of fanciful dreams that we might have. But we can't really know it's going to happen. We can only hope. And then sometimes some of those things, like becoming a millionaire, are not as nice as you would hope they would be.
Yeah.
You get,
money doesn't fix everything, does it?
Money does not fix everything. It sort of helps a bit.
Sort of helps, but
yeah, I'd like a bit of help every now and again, and I'm doing okay. I'm not the millionaire that I suppose my house is, and my name's on the mortgage. So yeah,
there you go.
Yes. So, but if you want financial advice, don't ask me. But I'm doing okay. I drive a Tesla, which I shouldn't confess, but I do. And I think it's the greatest vehicle in the world. And I can only tell all of you, I bought a few Tesla shares. You should buy a few, because it's going to go up forever.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
you're helping us with our financial achievements.
Oh, another one I would advise you to buy is the other electric car company, which I bought a few shares of as well. And there's a lot of electric car companies out there, but there's only one NIO. N-I-O. There's another NIO, N-E-O. Don't bother with that. It's not a car. No, NIO is the best electric car on the planet. And Elon Musk knows it's true. That's okay. He recognizes NIO is a fabulous car. Right. But it's only for sale in China. When they go international, and indeed they're on the American Stock Exchange, NIO, it's up around $32, and I bought it for $2.60.
Oh, there you go.
And then I bought it for $4 when it went up. And then I bought it for $6 when it went up. And then I bought it for $15 when it went up. And then I bought it for $21 when it went up. I thought, well, okay, I better stop now because it's getting too expensive.
Yeah.
But fortunately, it's all gone up. And so I'm pretty convinced it's going to be a $200 stock. When you consider how much Tesla's gone up in the meantime, NIO's only gone up fractionally compared to that. But the reason is that, companies that are now saying, like Volkswagen and Ford, that they're going to make 60,000 electric vehicles by the end of next year. Yeah. Well, great. I'm pleased they are. But Elon Musk is going to make 600,000 next year. So when people say, we're going to take over from Tesla, they don't have a chance in Hades at taking over from Tesla. Mm-hmm. So I know I shouldn't be spending this time on the interview, but if you guys have got any interest in me and you think that I might have some smarts about me, I swear to God, even at the price that Tesla is today, and it's come back quite a lot because it was up around $1,200 a share. Somebody just said something?
Nah, that's something. My phone rang. Sorry. I need to turn it down.
Okay. I think Tesla's at it's back to about 1,030 or something. And I know that's a lot of money. So just buy one share. Or you can ask a stockbroker to sell you a slice. You can buy slices of shares now. And I think that's a really good idea. If you've got, say, $500, you can buy a slice of Tesla. You don't have to buy a whole share. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be the way that all shares will be done. Everything's going to be sold in slices now. They won't necessarily call it slices. You're going to call it something else. I just want to show you, I just had a visitor here. Yeah, I'm trying to get something out of her whiskers. Tiggy, come here. Come up here. Come on. Come here. Come. Look, that's Tiggy. That's my Tiggy.
Hi, Tiggy.
I love this dog. I love this dog. My favorite person.
That's cutie.
Yeah. So, okay, where were we?
Well, I want to say hi to some people that are out here joining us. Obviously, there's Roy Bellaquest saying hi, Todd.
Hey, is Roy listening? Hey, Roy.
Roy's listening. Yeah, he's
Okay.
always
There
he's
he is.
always somewhere.
Can you wave at me, Roy, or is it just a picture of him?
Just a picture. I'm
a picture.
I'm tagging his.
Yeah, because that's really good looking. He must have had that photoshopped.
Yeah, there you go. He got a haircut. That's what happened.
Handsome guy.
So we got we got a lot of people: Nick McCarty, Jen Winterberg, George Dahar, and Mark Craig. Lots of people out here watching today. It's just Scott Anderson.
Okay. Have you got any specific questions?
Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple up here. I was noticing. Mark Craig. Let's see. I'll put his question up here. That way you can read along. We're all classic 1999 fans. New fans of the series come along and frequently ask for a reboot. Personally, he feels a reboot as disrespectful to the original. What do you say?
I think that's right. I think it's just not. I don't use the word disrespectful. When people try and make movies about actors' lives, I saw they had a special on Clark Gable, and they had this very good actor playing Clark Gable, but he couldn't touch him. He just wasn't Clark Gable. That man had a special quality, as indeed Jack Nicholson has. Jack Nicklaus. What the hell? I've played golf so much and talk with people about Nicholson. These actors have got, and Tom Cruise has got it too. It's an unknowable essence. It's a thing called talent, charisma. You try and make a movie about Marilyn Monroe. Where are you going to find somebody to play Marilyn Monroe? I mean, she was unique.
Yes.
Mickey Rooney, unique. Humphrey Bogart, unique. Nobody's ever been like them. Nick Tate, nobody's ever. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Right. Yep. We are what we are because that's how God made us. And people can do great mimicry of people. Mm-hmm. I worked with somebody the other day who I swear is a young Orson Welles. He looks like him. He sounds like him. I would love to see him. Now, see, with him, I think that he could do potentially a remake of some of the early work that Orson Welles was doing. But whilst people are still up and around, I mean, this thing that Steven Spielberg has just done, a re-envisaging of West Side Story. I loved West Side Story, the way it was.
Right.
Where are we going to find anybody to play those roles? Cheetah Rivera, the George Chakiris. It goes on. Every performer in West Side Story was sensational. And I've been looking at the reboot. They did a special the other night on Steven Spielberg, and they showed lots of bits of the original West Side Story. And then they do a clip of the new film that they're doing. And to me, it looked like it couldn't touch it, but I could be wrong. If it's a imagining of it, but then what are they going to change all the songs and change all the dance steps? If they are, then that's a real reimagining. But if they're using the same dance steps and the same songs, the same music, then it's why bother?
Right.
They created something that nobody's ever been able to create before or since, because it was so unique. And that itself is an expression we can't use. It's either unique or it isn't.
Yeah.
So no, I if you take a Space 1999 and you imagine it beyond, now let's see where they are 20 years on and they're older people, and then you're not trying to do the same stories.
Right.
Then perhaps, there's a reason for that. But then I could play an old Alan Carter. So But
There's
nobody
a possibility.
nobody would want an astronaut. I just see that Bill Shatner just went into space.
Hmm.
Why? Because he was the first person that anybody had ever seen go into space. Maybe there are those people that think Alan Carter should go into space. Nick Tate, but that might for another reason. They just might want to get rid of me. I don't know. I'd probably say yes if they asked me to go, but let's not start a campaign for that, folks. Because
No.
I like my feet being on the terra firma.
We like Alan Carter right where he's at.
Yeah. No,
California.
it's lovely that people want to think enough about it to say we'd love to see it happen again. But Martin's dead, Barbara's not dead, I'm not dead, but some of us are real close to it. So many people from the show are dead. I say leave well enough alone. Make a sci-fi series if you want a sci-fi series, by all means.
Mm-hmm.
They thought after Star Trek that it wouldn't live again, but they've got.
Discovery.
I've just wanted to, yeah, but it's not just the Bill Shatner ones that they did. These new guys, Patrick Stewart, fantastic, because it's a la. It's not the same thing. It's
right.
It's moved on a pace, and there's every reason to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, you try and do a new Star Wars with, you can't replace Harrison Ford. I mean, they've tried. Nobody's come close to him. He even Harrison Ford wouldn't come close to him now. Because we've all moved on. I see the Achilles heel in actors that I never saw before, because they had a young vibrance, as I did with Alan Carter. I confess it. I mean, I tried jumping off the top steps here of my house last year, down 8 steps into a concrete wall. And I am much less the Nick Tate than I used to be, because we don't bounce like we used to. I did all my own stunts in Space 90. Well, there's one off the top of a wall that I didn't do, but then I advised them that the stuntman shouldn't do it either. And he did, and he broke his 2 front teeth and his collarbone.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
this Nick Tate, he was pretty agile.
That one, yeah. Captain Alan Carter in the black and white there.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all that hair. Jeez, I'm jealous.
But yeah.
Any more questions?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we have some here.
You got to ask me a question from you, Todd.
I just like to hear about what's going on in your life right now myself.
Oh, well,
I know your daughter had
talk about nice... the colonoscopy and the
no, not all that stuff. TMI.
What's going on in my life is what's going on. I'm 79 years of age, mate. So there ain't a lot going on in my life. I did take the big dive off the top step this time last year, and I've had. I think most people that know anything about the fan club, they know that I've had a torn rotator cuff for many years, and I retore it in diving off the top step. Incidentally, I didn't dive. I did a double trip. My heel caught the top of the top step. It was late at night. I was in a pair of slippers. I should have been going to bed, but I could see out the door that this mail was left on the top step. So I was looking forward to a particular letter that I wanted to read. So I went out there, and I bent down and picked up the mail, and I could see in the light that was just outside the steps something. I went like that to look at it, and as I leaning, I went, "Oh God!" and I just dived. 8 steps. I didn't want to land on any of the steps. I thought it was probably better to land on the flat concrete, which wasn't a good choice. But I had very little time to decide. I was launched through the air, and I did one of my famous, prep, where you slam your hands down like you do in karate. And the right hand was okay, but the left didn't work because it just shattered my shoulder, tore the rotator cuff all over again. But that's only the least of it, because they then did all kinds of x-rays and painkillers and cortisone injections. And I just got sicker and sicker, and I got quieter and quieter. I got to the point where I couldn't do any physiotherapy at all that they were trying to do with me. My arm was seizing up. It eventually became what's called a frozen shoulder. And apparently that's quite typical with rotator cuff problems. But I got quieter and quieter and more unbalanced. I've never been a very balanced human being anyway. But I knew there was something deeply wrong with me. I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't just the shoulder. I felt like I was poisoned. I couldn't stay awake. I'd fall asleep all the time. And I just kept on saying to the doctor, who I every now and then he'd send me to another doctor because it must be your spine. They've done all the tests. It's not your spine. It must be your elbow. Maybe it's your nervous system. I don't know. Then they thought that there was something going on inside my skull, my brain, because it did hit my head too, but I didn't crack it. It might have been a bit of concussion. I don't know. But anyway, it turns out that I had a massive infection. The doctor came to my bedside after they finally looked at me on the 4th of December. They opened me up and he came and he said, well, Nick, I'm sorry to tell you I wasn't able to do the radical repair of your rotator cuff that I wanted to do, because in all my years and I've been operating for over 10,000 operations on shoulders, I have never seen an infection like you have. He said, you should be dead. I don't know, you must have a fantastic constitution, because we seriously need to get you on antibiotics. In fact, we've already done that whilst you were asleep. But they put me on amoxicillin, massive, like horse-sized pills the size of my thumb, morning and night.
Wow.
Didn't get any better. Then I went to it doesn't really matter. You don't need all the names of the antibiotics. But I was on antibiotics morning and night all of December, all of January. And then he operated on me again on the 10th of February and said, well, we're about halfway there. We've cleaned up about half this infection, but that's a very bad sign for me. I've got to put you on more. So eventually put a tube into my shoulder here, and it went through to my heart. And it was a direct line. And they used a thing called, I should have been prepared for all these medical questions. It doesn't really matter. Vancomycin. It's called vancomycin. Yeah, and it was in a round ball, which is a pressurized ball. And when you crack the thing on the side of it, it starts pumping. And it pumps for the next hour and a half, 90 minutes of antibiotics up through the ball and into my shoulder, which goes to my bloodstream everywhere. And it was 850 mils of vancomycin morning and night, whilst I was still taking another antibiotic in horse-sized pills. I had so many antibiotics for 5 months. The most I'd ever taken was like a 10-day course of antibiotics, and hated doing it. I took antibiotics, 2 loads of antibiotics morning and night for 5 months. I wasn't having a very pleasant time in the bathroom, and they couldn't get rid of this infection. And finally, I wound up taking 1,250 mils of vancomycin morning and night, and Augmentin. And that was the last 2 things I was on. And I don't know that it's even left me yet, because I still fall asleep at the drop of a hat. If I'm on my phone, I'm doing something on my phone like this, I find myself doing this.
Fall asleep.
And I used to shake all the time. I was always quivering. I'm over that. I've started to play golf again now, but I'm not playing golf well. I mean, my scores have... Don't want to talk about it. Fortunately, I have the occasional good hole. I have I have been known even to birdie, but it's very, very rare now. The fact that I get some pars is good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've become very unsure of my feet. If I get up quickly, I tend to stumble. I mean, I'm going to be 80 in a minute. So, but even 6 months ago, before all this happened, I felt like I was like 45. You know, I was prepared for anything. I still wasn't a great golfer, even less of a golfer now, but at least I could get out there and play and walk 18 holes without stumbling. I stumble all the time now. I hate it. I've got to get it back. You know, that's my thing in life, is to get myself playing under 90 in golf before I get to 90 in life. So
Well,
I'd like to be able to play my birthday, and I hope the sooner that happens, the better. You know, if I could get down into the mid 80s, maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, I might be 84 and play around at 84 and go, I finally played my age. And I didn't pick up the ball. I don't like playing golf with people.
Picking up the ball. No, there's no doing that in golf.
No, there isn't. And there's no kicking it out from behind a tree either. You got to take my favorite player in the world. He's playing right now, Jason Day. They were winning very well, he and Mark Leishman. They had a combined score of 54 for 18 holes. Now, if anybody can break 60 and have a 59, they're going to the kind of like the Ampion of famous golfers. These two together combined a score of 54, which is unheard of. I think there's been one, and there was some question mark over it. It's a twosome group that do it. You take the best ball. So you each play a shot, and you choose the best ball. Or it need not be the best ball. It has to be the ball that you both want to hit next. One guy might be hit way longer than the other, but he's now got a bunch of trees to go over. The other guy goes, well, I can come from around this side. So you play that ball. So you play the best ball you want to play. Right. If one goes in the bunker and the other doesn't, you obviously take the one that isn't in the bunker. Although there are some players that play better out of bunkers than they do off grass. I'm not one of them.
That's good. I do have a question for you, though. Didn't somebody in your family have a big thing happen not too long ago to her?
To her, yes. My daughter, my darling daughter, Jessie Tate, got married. It actually turned out to be, well, let's put it this way. We were going to get married. She was going to get married to Jeffrey, intended, just before COVID hit.
Right.
In Italy, just north of Milan. Jessie goes there a lot because she was a fashion stylist and went with lots of models and photo shoots to Italy. And they used to go to this wonderful vineyard where they do a lot of shooting because it was a very beautiful place with a lovely old villa that houses about 18 people to sleep there. And then there's another outhouse. And she said, oh, I'm going to get married next year. I would love to get married here. And they said, well, of course, Jessie, you must come and marry here. We would love you to be here. We make it very special for you. Yeah, they were Chinese. You're right. That's me in accents. Anyway, Todd, you're not laughing. Are you even listening?
I'm listening.
Now he's pretending to laugh. Yeah. So my daughter is very clever with accents. I mean, she really is the actor in our family, but she doesn't want to do it, you know. But she's great. She's got her own website. It's called CN. That's CIEN. She'll tell you if you ever look at her website what it means. Mm-hmm. Jessie Tate designer. She's a fabulous designer. She's now turned her work to designing homes because she's had so many models come around to her house to visit her. They've gone, oh, I love what you've done with this place. Who did it for you? And she says, I did. And so, oh, would you do mine? So Jessie was doing up all her friends' homes unofficially in New York. Then she came to LA about a year ago with Jeff and again rented a property around the corner and turned it into a palace. And so now people here are asking her to style their houses for them. And Jesse's doing it. It's wonderful. CN Interiors, it's called. Anyway, she was going to be married in the villa, and we had a destination wedding. We invited 56 people. And they all said, yeah, they wanted to come, and we paid for the rooms and everything. And then, of course, unfortunately, northern Italy became COVID central. And we had to cancel that wedding in September last year. So we set it for September this year. And again, around about February, March, there was a resurgence in Italy of COVID. So it became very clear that it would be way too dangerous to take 56 people to Italy and do that. So we then decided to set it to next year. So she was set to do it in September next year. And when September came around, at the last minute, Jess said, I so planned on being this my wedding. So they booked just up the way from here, about 100 miles away, not quite 100, is Santa Barbara. And we all went to Santa Barbara on that date. It would have been in Italy. And they were married in the courthouse. Now, I was feeling before the wedding that this was going to be a really poor second best, because courthouse, who wants to get married in a courthouse? And we weren't going to have the 56 friends. We were just going to have his family and my family, Jesse's family, us, 12 people. And that's what we did. And the Santa Barbara courthouse is one of the most beautiful courthouses anywhere on the planet. It is unspeakably gorgeous. Very old buildings with lots of archways, gardens to die for. The whole setup was just genius. And the guy that did the civil wedding, he got dressed up in black robes, and oh God, and Jessie made her own wedding gear. Jeffrey was very casual. He looked like he'd walked in off the beach and happened upon a wedding somewhere, but that's just him. He's like that, you know. He had on white slacks and a blue shirt. But now we've done that, so they're married legally. We will still celebrate their wedding in Italy, just north of Milan, at this villa, because it's all paid for, and they've accepted that we're going to move it again. Please God that next September there is not a resurgence of any of these viruses, but this nasty new one, what's it called? Octi something?
Yeah, I don't even know.
You know.
Oh, something.
Yeah. We've got to be, and people say, oh, it's less.
Okay.
Don't you believe it? I'm here to tell you, folks, this virus is here for our lives. You know, flu is with us. We have to get a different injection every year. I have young friends who won't get injected, and they're just fools. Please, if any of you respect me in any way, shape, or form, recognize that you're all right. She says, Nick, please don't. Nobody can tell me what to do with my body. She said, and I'm not going to debate it with you. Well, unfortunately, I can't see it. You know, people in their 70s, you go near somebody with COVID, you're dead. So I said, well, gee, thanks. I won't say what her name is, but she's a friend of our family's, and I love her family very much. Her mother and father are in despair that she won't do this, but she's a vegan. She's always been, you know, I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat, and you can't tell me better. Okay, that's fine. Right. And when she said to me, nobody can tell me what to do with my body, I went, yeah, okay, that's fine. I said, but then don't impose your crazy attitude on me by being in my presence. She wanted to come around here with a family and swim on the Saturday, and she said her husband was overseas and he was coming back on Saturday. So she, because it was like Tuesday when she said this, can I come and swim with the kids? And I was going to say, yeah, come around tomorrow. And she said, rang me and said he's going to be back on Saturday. Can we all come around on Saturday? So I said, yeah. I said, look, we're all vaccinated. It's fine. Hazel's vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. Jess and Jeff didn't really want to do it, but they did it because of me. So they're vaccinated, and Tom's vaccinated. So there was this pause, and she said, oh, is that important to you? I said, what, that they're vaccinated? She said, yes. I said, yeah, of course. And she said, well, Nick, I'm not vaccinated. I said, you're not? Why? She said, oh, I'm not going to discuss it with you. Nobody can tell me what to do with my body. All right. Can we get that straight right now? You know, and there's no debate here, Nick. And I said, well, you know what? There's no debate that you're not coming. You're not coming because you'll kill me. She said, oh, don't be dramatic. He came home one Saturday and I didn't hear from them because I'd said, don't come. I said, sorry, don't come. Don't come near me. She said, but you are vaccinated. I said, yeah, but you know what? It won't stop me from getting it. It'll just stop it from killing me. But I don't want to get it. So I didn't hear from them for weeks. So I rang their parents. I said, I want to know how she is. And they said, oh, you don't know? I said, what do you mean I don't know? I don't know because I haven't called. She hasn't called. She said he came back from overseas and he was sick. And within a week, they both had really serious COVID. They would have killed me. I swear to God. You know, he would have come to swim with me and go, hey, mate, how are you? And all this stuff. Terrifying. I saw her the other day, funnily enough. I haven't seen them in about 2 months. And I'm not calling her or anything because she said, I will not debate it. Well, if she won't, I can't talk with her. I can't say, will you talk about it now? She won't talk about it, you know, and it's not her, you know, I respect her for, if she doesn't want to put a bullet to her head and shoot herself in the head, don't fire the gun next to me, because that's what they're doing when people say they don't need to take the vaccination. We all need to take it because it's being passed from person to person by those that are unvaccinated. And it will continue from here to we're all dead.
Do you, yeah, I agree.
Sorry to have been the downer there, but I just thought I'd tell you that story because I don't want any of my fans saying, I'm not going to take it. You have a responsibility to your parents and to the children that are being brought into this world to take the vaccination. And bear in mind, you'll have to take it every year for the rest of your life. I think.
Like regular, yeah.
The rest of my life ain't very long. But now with the flu virus, I've never taken a flu virus injection, but I'm convincing myself now that we're going to have to be taking some form of vaccination for COVID, whether it be the Delta virus or this octinorin or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, I'll take it again. I've had 3 injections. I've 3 vaccinations now. And most of the people I know have.
Do you mind if I show one of the pictures that you sent me of your daughter and you together on that glorious day?
Show it.
Look at there.
Yeah.
Look at that smile.
Yeah. Who's the old fella there?
That's one happy. That's one happy daddy. That's what that is.
Yeah. I look like Richard Attenborough, and that very good-looking man just behind her. That's him.
Right, Jeffrey.
It looks like he's got a flower coming out of his nose. I think I sent you a couple, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I'll show a couple. Let me go back here and find.
That's my darling daughter Jessie, and she was so happy. And do note the old stonework behind. It looks like a monastery. That's the Santa Barbara Courthouse. It's beautiful.
Here's the 2 lovebirds.
Oh, who put all the hearts there?
I did. That's mine. Sorry.
Oh, you old sentimentalist.
Yeah, I think I sent that one to you for you. I didn't know if you remember seeing that.
Yeah, you might. Yeah. Yes, you might have. I got so many wedding photographs. But he used to have his hair almost as long as Jesse's, and all the hair that was long was bleached by the sun. He's quite dark, but I always thought that he had blonde hair because he had this long hair, and he succumbed and got his hair cut for the wedding. I think he's growing it again now. It's down to about his shoulders.
Well, they're very, very lovely couple.
Yeah, but as you can see, she's made the effort to make herself a beautiful wedding dress, and he's in a casual sort of. He looked very nice, casual blue shirt.
Yeah, it looks like a nice, and that picture right there with the trees and everything in behind it, and the building and the tower. That's a
Spanish. Well, that's part of the courthouse.
Yeah, that's a nice.
It's all Spanish. See all those tiles there.
Yeah,
exactly
I was
right.
getting ready to say that with all the tile roofs and.
Okay, show another. Have you got another one? Did I send you a couple? 3?
Let me see what I got left. I enhanced that one. Let's see. Come on. I probably don't have them on my computer.
Don't worry about it.
I've got this.
If you don't have any other questions, you said that people want to know what I've been doing. I'm just trying to get healthy again because this septicemia is fatal. That's a nice photograph.
I like that photo.
Yeah, but you see all the palm trees and stuff and the foliage. That was in beautiful gardens. Yeah. There's a great big courthouse that goes garden that goes out. You could play rugby or soccer or American football on it. It's huge, but it's got lots of plants all around it. It's just so beautiful. But I find it difficult to play 18 holes of golf. That's how hard it is for me to walk now. I've got one arm up there around her. My left arm still wasn't working very well there. That's hanging by my side. But now I can raise my hands above my head. See that? So,
there you go.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that a couple of months ago. This shoulder was just so bad. But so that's getting better. But I find myself falling asleep all the time. I'll be on the computer, and the next thing I know is I've been asleep for 10 minutes. Nick Tate, are you surprised Space 1999 today has so many fans, or did you at one point in time think the series would go into the Book of Oblivion? Hope my English makes sense, Todd. Yes, absolutely. Did I think it would go into Oblivion? Yeah, well, in some ways, it really Oblivion means there's no return. It's gone beyond where one can even find it. That's not true. It is out there, and there will always be, I think, room for younger fans growing up to want to be in that sort of fantasy world. It's just that when I look at the technology of Space 1999, and I see now what they can do with science fiction series, and I mean, they've virtually used sparklers to make it look like the rockets were taking off. Whereas now they can do it with imagery that is mind-boggling. And to think that we created stuff that made people believe it was actually a rocket ship taking off or landing. And when I say we, the guys out at Bray Studios that served what we were doing at Pinewood Studios with the models, because most of the eagles that they used some of them were 6 inches long. The ones that they often used were 18 inches long and on thin wires, so right. Having to light it so that the wires didn't show, or having to try and eliminate the shine of the wires at another point in time, and how they married the frontal area of the eagle where you could see through the glass cockpit me or Martin or any other of the astronauts was very clever, because we were never in the models, obviously.
Yeah.
The only piece we had of the spaceship was the cabin, to where we were both sitting in the seats alongside each other. Then there was a doorway to nothing. And then there was another set where that second section of where passengers would go or cargo would go was a separate thing. We'd walk through the door and they'd cut. And although it might look like it's one long take, they just cleverly cut it. So you'd be following and then suddenly you'd walk into the room. And that was done on 2 different sets, or 2 different setups in the same soundstage.
Yeah, that had to be, I would love to go see a soundstage like that one day, just to see what you had to endure.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, I think it's fairly obvious to everybody that there was no, stars and rocket ships around us. I would be sitting with like the front dashboard of a big car in front of me with all the controls, more like being in a ship or a boat, really, because there were so many different handles to pull and push. And then in front of me, there was just a void. And then you'd cut to a shot of the exterior of the Eagle, and you'd see all the stars and the other rocket ships that might be approaching us and near us. We didn't see any of that. I'm looking out in front of me, within 6 feet of me or even less. There is a 36 mil Panasonic panoramic camera with a lighting cameraman sitting on a suspended seat alongside it, and then an operator and a focus puller, all on the same mount with the camera in front of me. And sometimes it was on a crane so that they could move up and down slightly to create a sense of motion. And or if they might wanted to pull away quickly, they would dolly it away. And then behind that, there was wardrobe and makeup standing watching. There was sound people with big sound microphone booms. We never wore chest mics or anything. It was always done on a boom, which was a long arm that came in and would create shadows. You know, you have to be careful. Sometimes we'd be in the middle of a scene that was going rather well, and you'd just see overhead, like this shadow would go like that. And I wouldn't see it because I'm looking out here, and they'd have to call out, cut, you know, boom, shadow. And you realize that, you know, you're struggling as an actor to assume the identity of an astronaut who is totally alone,
right,
in an absolutely silent world, apart from the crackling of communication, either handheld communications with the comlock or just general communication via the screens on the set. But in fact, looking out in front of me, there were 60 people. Some of them were doing their jobs, pulling a cable around here or helping to dolly a camera over there. Some of them were preparing for the next scene and moving props into something over there on the set we'd go and work on in a few minutes, all being done very silently and stealthily because we're working.
right.
But sometimes you'd get some idiot that's standing behind the camera going, you know, and you think, what the hell is that person doing? You know, he's picking his nose. And or somebody would come up to another bloke and he'd walk past him and he'd go bam, and he'd bam him on the arm because they were friends and they'd been horsing around outside, come in, and the other guy's standing unseen to him and he walks up and punches him, right? So then he turns around and whacks him with something. And I'm going, you know, I'm alone looking out into space and having this very emotional moment. And I see these two guys just over there punching each other. And then the other one kicking at him, you know, all done in jest as far as they're concerned, and trying to do it in slow motion or in fun. But I'm supposed to be alone in a dramatic moment. And I've got these clowns doing this. I've been known to stop and say, oh, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You know, people go, what's going on? And then the director would get furious with them because they were, I'm sorry, I said the magic word. There may be children out there. Naughty Nicky, I'm sorry. You know, it's life. It's life. I can't stop myself.
So when they holler cut boom shadow, does
Boom
that
shadow,
mean
yeah.
you stop everything and then go back and start over again?
Yeah. And if it's a highly emotional scene where I'm shouting or screaming or crying, or it's a very tense moment where I'm looking to see if that spaceship is going to ever take off again, and oh my God, it's just exploded, you know, one of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody goes, boom, shadow. Oh God. Hey guys, you know, what it was a quiet moment anyway. Why are you moving the boom? Because oftentimes you can have the boom there, and as long as it doesn't move, nobody knows what that shadow is anyway. You know, it's just a shadow. And the minute you start moving it to get it out of the way, it's like, whoa, now I see it. Just little things that happen when you're filming.
And then you go outside and film some of the scenes, like I remember the one where you're walking, you're looking for, I can't remember what you're looking for, but you fall into a pit.
Oh, that's the circle, something or other circle.
Yeah, the full circle.
Full circle, yeah.
Did you do your own fall at that point?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he did.
Oh, well, I think they cleverly made it look like they raised the camera up and I fell out of frame. And then, now I had Timmy Condren there, who was a stuntman, and I learned very early on that stuntmen have a right to live as well. And when they gave me a stuntman who looked somewhat similar to me, that, you know, I wanted him to have a career. The stunt coordinator came to me and said, Nick, don't say you want to do all your stunts all the time, because you know, Timmy needs the job and he wants to work. And I want to say, but you know, I am very athletic. I'm more athletic than him. You know, I don't want him. Well, that's not true. Actually, Timmy Conran was he was an excellent swordsman and a wonderful horseman, both of which you don't need in Space 1999. No horses, no swords. But he was a good guy. I liked him a lot. He's the fella that threw himself off that hit the ceiling when he came over the top of the creature that was chained down on the bed. That was Maya's creature, and she transmuted, or whatever the word is, transmortified. That's not right either. Into a monster. And as I bend over to look at her, she goes, grabs me and throws me through the air, and I smash onto the ground. And they put the camera on the floor to look at this. So you could see me bending towards the camera over this figure that was Maya, and she suddenly turns into this monster. So then what they had me to do was to run in and jump off a mini trampoline as I reach for her. So they cut to that moment just as I'm grabbing her, but I'm actually coming off a trampoline, and she, as the monster, does that with her hands, and I fly through the air and land. And they shot that several ways. They put the camera way about 6 feet away on the floor, and they put a mattress underneath the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Just raise the camera up enough so you can't see the mattress. So it's about a 6-7 inch deep mattress with rubber and everything. So even I could fall into that. But I was worried about going up over the top. They had this ceiling which was less than 8 feet high.
A drop ceiling?
And you don't ever have ceilings on film sets because that's where all the lights are. So that's why the cameras never tilt up. That's why you never put a camera on the floor and look up. As soon as they did that, they had to say, well, we've got to put a ceiling in. So they built this scrim with lightweight wood in it and everything. That was fine enough. But if you try to jump and the scrim hits you, it's going to bump you down again. So, of course, I said, if I hit that trampoline, I'm going to hit the scrim, and I won't fly through the air properly. And they went, well, yeah, that's why we've got stuntmen, Nick. And I said, I don't want him to do the stunt. I think it's too dangerous.
Right.
And Timmy came in, and I would always consult with him and the stunt coordinator. Do you think this is safe? How when I come from the left or the right, you know, show me what you would do. And then I would see if I could do that. And if I could do it, I said, I want to do it. I don't want Timmy to be doing it. So they'd say, okay, and you do it. And because oftentimes Tim recognized also that if he was going to be my stuntman, he wanted to keep on my good books as well. So I would continue to ask for him to coordinate it with me, to help me do it. But I would actually do it. Because I like doing all that stuff. I never minded throwing myself on the floor. And I would even leap off a table or a bench to fall on the floor. That was okay. But this thing was going up in the air, hitting this, but trying not to hit it, and then land right in front of the lens. The camera so come whoa like that, you know, and then go whoa, you know, as if you've hurt yourself. Well, Timmy came through the air. He hit the roof, and he fell short of the mattress, and bang, and you know, blood. Not that you'd have seen his face, because the minute he went through the frame, my head would then pop up, you know, and that's what we did. But he'd already smashed his teeth in and broke his collarbone. And I just felt so bad for him because it's exactly what I predicted. I said, he's going to hit the scrim. You shouldn't do it, Tim. I can do it. Yeah, well, he did do it, sadly.
Yeah.
Which stopped him doing his jousting, fighting and stuff for about 6 weeks because his shoulder was broken.
Wow. Here's another question for you.
Oh yeah, the Battle of Britain. Yes, Battle of Britain was a very sad story for me. I mean, the film in itself is a sad story. The Battle of Britain, it was real. Maud Spector was a very famous casting director in England, and I was a young actor in England trying to get on, and I hadn't made any big movies or anything in England, and I impressed the producers and Maud Spector. I got the role of Charlie, the New Zealand pilot who begs Michael Caine to let him take the Spitfire up and do a test on it. He says he's got an oil leak. And Michael Caine's character is going, you don't have an oil leak. You just want to take the Spitfire out over the channel and shoot down some Germans. He said, I'm not going to let you do it. So he then comes back with his hands covered in oil and says, look, I've got to fix it. So Caine goes, all right, take it up and be back in 20 minutes. And of course he goes out over the channel and gets shot down and dies. But it was a role that, I'm working with Michael Caine, and I'm in a film with Sir Laurence Olivier and all the greatest actors of all time. And Maud Spector has cast me in not a major role, but in a major film. And my character was quite impertinent and had lots of qualities that New Zealand or Australian actors or people have. They're kind of gung-ho, very kind of like Alan Carter. And I really wanted to do it, and I got it. And then, so I was signed to the contract. It was my biggest break in my life at that point. And they said they had to delay the filming of it because they had discovered that Spain had all these Messerschmitts and all the planes that flew for the German Air Force. Spain had put them in cotton balls, or whatever you call them, mothballed them, and they were historically accurate. They were the real things, which meant that that they didn't have to remake these planes. They could actually take them up with stunt flyers and fly them around and go practice looking like they were shot down and laying off smoke bombs and all sorts of things. They thought it would take about a month to shoot the exterior sequences in Spain. And so we were all given an extension on our contract. My contract was, I was going to work in exactly 6 weeks' time. So I signed the contract. I was ready to go. I got to wait 6 weeks. So a friend of mine came over from Australia, and he said, Nick, I bought this Volkswagen and I want to travel around Europe and be back here in 6 weeks. And I said, well, and he said, yeah, he was my best friend, Bill Whitby. And he said, come with me. I said, well, I can't, mate. I've got to be back in 6 weeks. He said, I'm coming back in 6 weeks. I said, and then I thought, you know what? I could catch a plane back. So I said, okay, I'll go with you for 5 weeks, but I've got to leave on the 5th day of the 5th week. So he said, okay, let's do it. He said, I might even decide to come back with you then. So we go, and we went over to Holland, went through Holland, down into Germany, then into Italy, and then into France, and then down into Spain. And then from Spain, we wanted to go on a ferry to the Balearic Isles, Mallorca, Menorca, and Formentera. And Formentera is a tiny little island, smallest of the Balearic Isles. And an Australian actor called Ray Barrett, who was very, very popular in England, bought a house had a house made in Formentera where there was no fresh water, no electricity, nothing. You lived like it was. Even telephones didn't exist there properly. But I wanted to go see this place. So I talked Bill into getting there early, about on the 4th week, so that we could get off the island and I could get back to Valencia in Spain and fly from Valencia to London, which I could do all in the course of one day, coming back on a ferry. So we went off on our holiday and we were going around Europe. And every Friday night, I would ring Eric Lepian Smith, who was my agent, and say, I'm now in Portugal, or I'm now in France, I'm now in Paris, wherever we were. And we were on the move all the way. We went to all these places and having a brilliant time, wacky, especially in Italy, had a fantastic time. So we get down to Valencia, and it's the beginning of the 4th week. and I'm about to go to the over to Formentera, and I rang Eric and said, I'm going to Formentera. And he said, look, every Friday you're ringing me, Nick. There's no change. They're filming down there. And you'll be back on what date? I said, I'll be back in about 10 days' time. He said, fine. Call me when you get back. You'll still have a week. So I go over to Formentera, the Mallorca, Minorca, Formentera, ferry after ferry after ferry, get taken by some kind of bus about 5 miles into Formentera, up many very hilly roads. Nobody spoke English there at all. And we work our way down to where Ray Barrett lived. Fabulous house he had built there. He dug a big pit in the ground and filled it with water like a swimming pool. and that was, because it rained there quite often, that was his drinking water, because there wasn't any water on tap. He had fuel for gas, and I don't know how he worked his phone, but his phone was a phone, I think it worked by radio, that went over to Mallorca, and then that was passed on to Madrid, and then Madrid to no, he didn't have a phone. That was the whole problem. He had no phone. So was coming up to the next Friday, and I'd been with Ray and my father, who was there, and my friend Bill, all staying at Ray's house. And he had a push bike, and I tried to ride down into the village where the ferry came in, which was a 5-mile ride. And there was this hurricane wind blowing, and it was one of the worst rides of my life. And I finally get to the ferry area, and because I knew they had phones there, and Ray said you could go and call the mainland from there. So I got there at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, windswept and exhausted, and I made myself known that I needed to phone London. Oh, no, nobody understood, but I'm trying to make the phone call. I eventually made a phone call from that ferry point across to Mallorca, but Mallorca couldn't get Madrid for the phone call then to be connected to London. I didn't know what was wrong, but there was a big wind blowing, and so apparently wires and things were involved with this that were being pushed around. And I even got through to London at one stage. And I think I must have spent about £10 in feeding coins into this machine. And the London Exchange said that my agent, and now it was 5 o'clock, and they leave at 5 o'clock. They said that my agent's phones were all engaged, and they were doing last minute calling. I think they might have been calling about where the fuck is Nick Tate, but I didn't know this. So I went back home, never having got through. And on Sunday, we caught the ferry back to Mallorca, and then caught the midnight ferry back to Valencia. And I got back to Valencia at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I got a phone, went to the post office, and I called London, and I got Eric Lepian Smith instantly at 10 o'clock in the morning. And he said, where the fuck are you? And I said, what are you talking about? What's the problem? He said, they stopped filming on Friday, Nick. They had fantastic weather, and they got all that they needed. And so they moved it up a week. They started shooting at 8 o'clock this morning. You had 8 o'clock this morning to be on the set. I've left messages for you everywhere. You've lost the role. So I didn't get the part of Charlie in the Battle of Britain. It's been one of the major regrets of my life, but it also taught me a lesson that you should never become incommunicato. In other words, you should never be in a position where you can't be communicated with, because everybody knew Ray Barrett in London. Everybody knew what his circumstances were. There were ways that they could have contacted Eric to tell me that the show was going to start, and they didn't. And Eric Lepian Smith knew that, but he didn't use his brains to try and work out how he could contact me, because I told him where I was going. My father's agent was in contact with them too. And they knew my father was staying with Ray, and I had gone to see my father. That's in another story all by itself. But anyway, I didn't get the role. and I got Maud Spector. She said, "Where are you, darling?" I said, "I'm in Valencia, standing at the post office." She said, "Well, they started at 8 o'clock this morning. We had to recast you. This is a terrible situation, Nick. You're a very naughty boy. This was a big break in your life, and you've let me down." And she hung up on me. I was in the process of saying, "I can catch a plane now. I can be in London at 2 o'clock this afternoon. If he's got no lines, I can still do the role. I can be there. I can be there today." "Too late, darling. Let this be a lesson to you." And she hung up on me. She said, "We're very disappointed with you." She never used me again, never cast me in anything. The boy has got some nice scenes in the piece. He was very endearing in it, cheeky and so forth. And the directors liked him so much that that director from the film, his name was Diamond, something, Richard Diamond, was it? Someone Diamond. He took him on to another film. He didn't appear to have created any big things in his life. His name was Alan Tucker, but he was very lucky because at one stage, about a month after I got back, I got a call from Maud Spector, and she said, "Darling, would you like to be in Battle of Britain?" And I said, "Well, we've already had this very sad episode." "Maud, what are you talking about?" She said, "There's a moment in the film that," she said, I would like you to come and do. So it's yours if you want it." And it was a scene where Christopher Plummer is going to take Susanna York into town to have a meal, and we all knew what that meant. That he was
Right.
He was going to get off the airport base and go and shtuck Susanna York, and but it was supposed to be set in Scotland, so he was going to go and have a meal in a Scottish restaurant. So when we're all standing around the car, sort of chiding him for leaving us and going off with this very pretty girl, I say to him, "Hey, Captain, bring us back a haggis." You know what a haggis is?
No.
A haggis is an awful piece of offal meat that's sort of gone off, and they wrap all these different bits of offal. Offal is internal organs of animals. And people, like liver and kidney and so on. And the stomach, it's the stomach of a lamb stuffed with other bits of offal, which gets to the point of being very ripe. In other words, starting to go off. And then they boil it for hours to kill all the germs in it. And you eat this horrible, smelly mess called a haggis. It might have been a delicacy for old Scottish soldiers, but not for delicate young Australian actors like me. I tried some haggis just to see what it was like. It was disgusting. But then, maybe it was just in my mind. I don't know. But I've never forgotten the lesson about don't be in community. If the phone rings now, I will answer it all the time. Hazel says, "Leave it alone. You're having dinner." I can't.
I can't.
No. It might be Steven Spielberg wanting me.
Right. It's my big role.
I'll answer leave the phone alone. It'll go to message machine. I can't do it. I got to answer it. What next?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go, buddy.
Yeah.
Can we make?
Go ahead.
Are we close on done?
We could go all night with you, Nick. We're on your time schedule, buddy.
Well, I'll just go and check with my other people here because they're still here, the film crew.
Okay.
And I did say that I could come back. I'll just go and check how much longer I've got. Can we hold on? I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay. He'll be right back. So I see guys out there, we're having some trouble. It looks like since I played some movie clips of Nick's that they're, Facebook's blocked it. So jump on my YouTube channel and watch us there. It's pathetic. I mean, I'm interviewing a guy that was in the movie that these are on his website and they want to muck it all up for me. I apologize. I have been trying to do it here. You see me typing every once in a while. I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just I'm trying to dispute it, see if it can get popped back on. But if you're having trouble seeing this on Facebook, it's because of that. And my cat's dead. Do you have like a real name I can have so I can say, "Hey, Joe, how you doing?" Instead of, "Hey, my cat's dead." Hey, how you doing? Just wondering. But anyway, again, we're here with Nick Tate, and he's got some things going on today. Also, his wife Hazel is being interviewed upstairs, I believe, or outside at the same time. So, hi, Nick. I'm glad you are back. Sorry about your uh, problems trying to watch the show on Facebook. Maybe we just won't do Facebook anymore because they're idiots. They make me crazy. So Nick will be right back. He's just checking on to see how much more time he has with us, and then we'll get back to that. Anybody's got any questions, pop them up. I'm going to go back through here. I had a few starred. If he has more time when we get back, we will ask him. Mark Craig, you still there, buddy? I know it's late over there in the UK. So Nick, you're still with us, and you're a UK guy. Mr. Buchanan, I will have your question next. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm just having fun, and Nick is a very good friend of mine. I love him dearly. And while he's gone, there's a convention in London in 2022. I'll put some advertisements out. Nick is going to be there. As far as we know, with COVID and everything, we're still, 10 months away, 10 or 11 months away from that. So hopefully everything will work out good, and I'll be there with him as his sidekick. Sounds like he's coming back. There he is. How's it going up there? Ah, you snuck a bite, did you?
Cheese and cake.
All right.
Naughty me.
That's
I
okay.
I can spend another 10 minutes with you.
Right on. That's awesome. Well, we got a little question up there, and I'm sure you have no idea, but Mr. Buchanan says, did they ever give you any explanation as where all the Eagles were being replaced from? There was a lot of crashes, seems like.
Yeah. No, they never did.
Yeah, I didn't think they did.
It was assumed, I think we talked about it since, that there would have been a lot of infrastructure placed up there if they had the ability to do it, to be able to repair things like the Eagles. But they were in constant contact with Earth at the time, so they didn't know that the moon was going to be knocked out of the Earth's orbit.
Right.
We just have to sort of assume that, like the botanical areas and things where we could grow food and create oxygen, that we could somehow or other mine minerals and or at the very least reclaim the metals that we had and refurbish them. But it seems with today's technology that we are a little bit closer to doing that. But certainly in the year 1999, we didn't have any of that ability. So I don't know.
Right.
An unanswered and highly unlikely ability to do that.
What there's a lot of people, they always ask what your favorite episode was.
Well,
I know it's hard to put down because there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I know that I like Full Circle because I got to do a lot of physical things that I really like to do. I know that it's mean to have a favorite episode where I have a lot of things to do. Maybe I should have a favorite episode where I'm not in it at all and it's all the other actors.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm honest enough to say, no, my favorite episodes was where I had a lot to do. Not necessarily being a hero, but just being either contentious or mischievous. Or I like the episodes I did with kids, nearly all of them.
Oh yeah.
I remember liking Journey to Where. Was that the name of it?
Yep. Journey to Where.
Where we went back in time, or went and found another us.
Right.
Well, I saw another apprentice.
Oh, the
Barry Morse character.
That was Another Time, Another Place.
Another Time, Another Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did right. Yeah, I like that one. I liked working with Judy Geeson, and I think that was that episode.
Yes, Judy. Yeah.
Yeah, Judy Geeson. Yes.
Yeah, she was a very pretty lady.
She was, and she was a very fine actress too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know her before, but in the show, her character sees me and goes berserk because the other me had died, and so she thought I was dead. So when I come back to her, as far as she's concerned, it's impossible. I must be dead. But I was the alternate, or my character was the duplicit. That's not even the right word either. I was the, there is a word for that when you are the same as, it's a word like alter donna. What the heck is it?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the word.
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger, yeah.
Yeah, it's a German word. Thank God it came to me. I don't have Alzheimer's, see? So, but it freaks her character out, and she was crying. And I thought it was very clever of her to cry, but what I noticed was she went berserk. She had snot coming out of her nose. She was screaming, crying. And I thought, well, I could guess that this is real because I knew that Judy had been in love with a man who was killed in a car accident. And this was less than a year later. So I think that she's one of those people that reaches back into their own personal experiences and knew only too well what it felt like to be suddenly told that the man you love is dead.
Right.
And if after all that trauma, that person walks back into the room a couple of weeks later without there being any notice whatsoever, you'd have one of probably two major reactions. One is that this can't be true. The other one would be that, oh, this is so wonderful. And you don't care whether it's real or it's not real. It's just an ability to hold them in your arms again, and you'll take it for whatever it's worth.
Right.
But she obviously, her character didn't go with, I love you so much. And, thank God you're alive. She went with, this is all a terrible, terrible lie. And how, you're false. And it's not real. And she just cracks up because of that. So it was a horrible moment for me, recognizing that here was this woman who believed I was dead, and suddenly I'm back. But for my character, Alan Carter, at the time, I know that I am the other Alan Carter, and what she's going through is real to her, and I can't make her understand that, and I can only console her, but that's going to make it worse because I look, feel, and smell just like the other guy.
Mm-hmm. That was a good episode. I like that episode for a whole lot of other reasons too.
Yeah, and if you think about it, there's a whole other idea there for another film, for anybody, that you bring back somebody who is the double of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have a fantasy in our lives that we exist somewhere else. We can't go there or be there, but we kind of fancifully hope that there's somebody somewhere that looks exactly like us and we want to meet him.
Right.
There was a man that I was told about many, many years ago who worked for British Airways. And people always told me that worked at British Airways that I looked like him. I remember it well. I mean, it wasn't just one person that said it to me. I would fly a lot, and people would say, "Aren't you?" And I'd say, "No, my name is Nick Tate. I'm Australian." And they'd say, "No, he's English, and he was working in Hong Kong." And I went to Hong Kong to do a television series called Spearhead, and I was in Hong Kong for about 5 months shooting that series. I don't know if you've got it on my resume anywhere, but I did it. And I really loved the series. It was great fun for two reasons. One was my character was the sort of character I loved playing. He was a journalist, and he kind of wore clothes like Humphrey Bogart wore in Casablanca. It was that sort of era as well. And he smoked and drank an awful lot. And whilst I didn't admire or like what my father was doing, because my father smoked and drank an awful lot,
Right.
they're good characters to play because they live close to danger and it doesn't seem to bother them. You know, Richard Harris, not Richard Harris, Richard Cleopatra. He played Mark Antony in Julius Caesar to Cleopatra, British actress who played Cleopatra. You're too young to remember, aren't you? Of course.
Oh, probably
Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor. No,
You remember Elizabeth Taylor's? She married him. What's his name? Richard.
I don't
Come
know.
on, folks.
You got me there. Somebody
Elizabeth
tell
Taylor's
me.
husband. He was one of the greatest actors of our time. He was Welsh and had a fabulous speaking voice. Sometimes people say, any of the fans know who he was?
Elizabeth Taylor was married to Larry.
I think she died married to him. I don't know.
Larry Fortinsky? No, maybe she was.
Is somebody joking me? Larry Frutinsky?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
No. She was married to Eddie Fisher. I know that at one point.
There's Eddie Fisher, Richard Burton.
Richard Burton.
There
Could
we
you see the name Richard there?
I seen it now.
I said Richard Harris, but it was Richard Burton.
Richard Burton. I know
Richard Burton had the best voice of any actor in history. Still even today.
Yeah, Ken's Models. He said it right there. Look at that. Just as we figured out. Burton.
Who said what?
Ken's Model Works. He
Burton.
sent it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't even know why I was mentioning Richard Burton.
Oh, you were talking about the movie, the show that you were doing. That's okay.
He wasn't in Battle of Britain, as I recall, although he must have been the only English actor that wasn't.
Probably, yeah. There was a lot of good actors in there.
Oh, yeah. No, it was great honor. Great honor. But I got lucky. I got fairly lucky early on because although I did get to work with Richard, with in the Battle of Britain, I told you the actor's name that I worked with, Michael Caine.
Michael Caine, yeah.
I had a special moment with Michael Caine because whilst I was working on the show, there was a break that happened before we got to that scene where we had to talk about my, bring us back a haggis. Michael Caine saw me. I was looking over a fence at something, and I mentioned something about the aircraft that were there. And he said to me, are you the actor that was supposed to be playing Charlie? I said, yeah, I was. He He said, how come you didn't show up? We was all waiting for you, you know. I said, yeah, and they cast that other actor at the time. Do you know him? I said, no, I don't know him. I don't want to know him. He got the role and I didn't. And he said, oh, it's a shame. Yeah, you'd have been good in that. He was okay, I know, but you'd have been good. And then he said, do you like cricket? You're an Aussie? He said, we're playing the Australians right now. And I said, yeah, of course I like cricket. You know, I didn't really like cricket, but I was talking to Michael Caine. And if he was going to ask me a question where I could have some more time with him, I said, yeah. He said, I got it on the telly. You want to see it? I said, what do you mean? He said, in a roller over there. He had a Rolls Royce.
Oh.
And I went and sat in the back of the Rolls Royce with Michael Caine, and we watched the Australia play England match on his television, which was in the back seat of the driver's seat. And I was stunned for three reasons. One was I was sitting in a Rolls Royce. I'd never been in a Rolls Royce in my life. Two, I'm sitting in a car that's got live television. I'd never been in a car. And three, and more important than all of those things, I was talking to Michael Caine, who invited me into his car, you know?
Right.
And then lesser than that was he had a very beautiful wife, or his girlfriend, I think at the time. She sat between us, and she was scrumptious. But it was just so nice to be with him. He said, yeah, you'd have been good in that. It's a pity you didn't get that. And he always talked like that, Michael Caine, you know. He said, oh, yeah, you're the New Zealand guy. I said, no, I'm not New Zealand. I'm an Aussie, but, you know, we're brothers, New Zealanders. Yeah, I could see you playing that role. Yeah. Because we had to wait for you. You know, there was some thing about you not being there and I couldn't find you. And he knew the whole story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michael Caine.
You played with a lot of really good actors, though.
I have. I've been very lucky. You know, I think one of my favorite was Kevin Kline playing Cry Freedom, where I played the New Zealand pilot. I played a lot of pilots, New Zealand pilot that flew them out of New Zealand, out of Africa. Donald Woods, that's character's name. He played Donald Woods, and Denzel Washington was playing the role of what the story was all about. The activist who was every bit as popular as Mandela became, you know. But the police, South African police, murdered him. They beat the crap out of him and then threw him in a truck and drove it about 200 miles over dirt roads, bouncing the body. Bang, bang, bang. Not only did he have severe concussion at the time, but when they got him to where they were going, he was in a coma because they just bounced around in the back of this truck. Terrible, terrible story.
Mm-hmm.
But the film's wonderful. And I spoke briefly with Denzel Washington. I didn't have any scenes with him because his character was lying dying when I was supposed to be there. Meryl Streep, obviously, in Cry in the Dark. Two films, major films, Cry in the Dark and Cry Freedom, both of them starting with the word cry.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams. And I think I've told you the story about Robin Williams. If people don't know, I'll probably have to wrap it up now because I've got to go back to that interview. But when I went to do Hook, they cast me as this one character that had been a pirate. And Robin Williams' character, as I told you before in the story of Hook, was Peter Pan as a man. And he doesn't know that he's Peter Pan. Because
he forgot. He grew up.
Yeah, he grew up. His one wish was to be real, to be a real boy. So he grows up unknowing of his past. He thinks that Wendy's his sister and all the rest of that stuff, you know. But she was actually his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Peter Pan had a fancy for her, you know. But
it's a very good movie.
He goes back to that family. So I try out for a pirate that they're going to meet in a bar somewhere. And he's kind of like a lascivious old gay pirate, you know. Hello, pretty boy. And he gives Robin Williams a really hard time, you know. It's not in the movie. incidentally, that scene. But I was cast to play that part because I had auditioned for it.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen couldn't make up his mind between me and a couple of other actors. So he said to Robin Williams, will you come and have a look at this scene? Because which actor would you choose to play with? Which actor makes you, because I did all that stuff about, give us a kiss, sweetheart, all that sort of awful pirate, lascivious old gay guy. And so I come in, I've done the audition, and I'm feeling good about it. And then I get the call, you've got the role, be down at Sony Studios, MGM, on Thursday afternoon to get fitted for wardrobe. And you will start on Monday at 5:30 in the morning. You've got to be there, and then wardrobe and makeup and everything, and be on set at 6:30. So I go there on Thursday afternoon, and it's late to see hairdressing and wardrobe. I was going to have hairdressing and wardrobe. I was just playing around with the words. Anyway, I'm walking through these magical old sound stages of MGM Studios. You've had every actor on the planet be there, and it's a young actor, you're walking around and go, oh my God, this is, it's like being at Pinewood Studios in England, the history of these places. If you really care about film, it's just so magical to be in these places. Feel that you're sitting in the same chair that Sir Laurence Olivier sat in, and it's just a sense of history. So I'm walking down the sets, down through the sound stages, and this blue truck, it's 5 o'clock at night, it's coming up towards me. And I get myself over against the wall because they made them smaller in those days, little trucks. And this big wide SUV comes up. And as the driver goes by, he drives past me. And I thought, that was Robin Williams. He was giving me the thumbs up. I'm standing there thinking, why would Robin Williams be giving me the thumbs up? I never met him. So I go in and see wardrobe, makeup, and everything. I'm there for an hour and so be here at 5:30 on Monday morning. So I come back on Monday morning, hairdressing, wardrobe, makeup, put me on all disguised like nobody knew it was me playing Noodler. Right. I've had people say, I've seen the film twice. You're not in it. And I said, I'm Noodler. Who's he? I said, well, they never name him, but that's the character was. He's one of the guards on Thomas More's cell. No, sorry, that's a different film. He's one of the guys that's handling Hook and helping to be his protector. He said, what, the bald-headed black guy? And I said, yeah, well, I'm clearly not the bald-headed black guy. I'm the other one, right? Oh, was that you? And I said, yeah. I said, oh, Christ, your grandmother wouldn't have known you, I blackened out my teeth. I had a beard on and long, ganky. Everything was disgusting about my character. I really reveled in the fact that I was this filthy pirate,
Needed a bath.
Tony Burton didn't do anything. He just had his shiny black hair. He didn't want anything. Everybody knows it's him in the film because he looks like the trainer of Rocky. That's right. What he was, right? So, but I didn't wake up to the fact that I've disguised myself so much that nobody knows it's me. Anyway, I get into wardrobe and makeup, and then I'm told I'm to come onto the set, and both myself and Tony Burton would then be introduced to Steven Spielberg, and they're doing a scene, they're in the middle of a scene. So we stand around and we wait for about 20 minutes, and it's finished, and I'm there in awe. There's like 150 pirates, and Steven Spielberg, and Dustin Hoffman, and Robin Williams, and all these people, and they said, hey, gentlemen, we're about to go on with the next scene, introducing 2 new actors in the show. This is Tony Burton. He's going to be playing Baldy, or whatever the character's name was, and Nick Tate is going to be playing Noodler. And Steven Spielberg walks over to me, shakes my hand, and says, welcome aboard. And then, because we're all on the ship, then Dustin Hoffman comes out and goes, oh, I'm going to be playing one of my handlers. How are you, dear boy? He stayed in character through every scene. That's another story within itself. And then Robin Williams comes over and he goes, yeah, he said, I gave you the thumbs up on Thursday. And I said, yeah, you did. I'm sorry, how do you know? And he said, oh, you don't know. I'll tell you later. And he walked off. So what's he talking about? I'll tell you later, I don't know Robin Williams. I wish I did. About 11 o'clock in the morning, there's a break. I'm just being one of the pirates milling around with all this stuff. Yeah, make you walk the plank, all that stuff. And I go over to the coffee urn to get myself a cup of coffee because it's on all day long. And suddenly there's this tap on my shoulder, and it's Robin Williams. He said, "How are you enjoying it so far?" And I said, "Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful, Robin. Yeah, thank you." He said, "So you asked how I gave you the thumbs up?" And I said, "Yes. I'm sorry, we've never met." He said, "Well, you clearly don't know the story." I said, "What story?" He said, "When you did your audition," he said, "Stephen couldn't decide who to give this role to. And he said, so he asked me to come and have a look at it. He said, I chose you." So I was like, Robin Williams chose me to play Noodler? I thank Stephen for being on the film, but Robin Williams was the reason why I was there, because he chose me. And, every day I would be on the set every day. At some point in time, he'd take a moment to say, "How you doing?" We talked about Australia. He'd been there. Talked about golden retrievers. He'd had a golden retriever. It's this sort of man that just makes everybody feel like you're his best friend, Right. He was wonderful. Loved him.
Yeah. Well, we all miss him. He was a good actor.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I had golden retrievers growing up.
Two really? Two of them. Aren't they the best creatures? Of course, now little Tiggy here. I showed you Tiggy, didn't I?
Yeah, he's
came in earlier.
She's a she. She's
very alpha. She thinks she's a boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go to these other people now.
Okay.
Alrighty. But it's been great, and please, let's do this again. We don't have to wait so long next time. And it's a shame that they're here doing this now, because they've come a long way to come and see me. So
that's great. I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad you stuck. I'm glad you gave us a few minutes. You're looking great, Nick. You really are.
Well, I'm not great, but it's very kind of you.
Yeah.
I get out of bed and I feel like I'm going to fall over. I've got no proper balance. It's bloody ridiculous.
You'll get it back.
If you read about septicemia, it is a blood poisoning disorder which mostly kills people. That it's fatal. And if you can get over it, like I have done, it's likely to leave you with lasting illnesses. I don't know what the illnesses are, but I'm hoping that I will conquer those too. I don't want to be on any more antibiotics, I can tell you that. 5.5 months of antibiotics is enough for anybody.
Yes, I would say so.
But I'd like to get my articulateness, my physical articulateness back, because I have to hang on to the walls when I'm walking downstairs now, And I've seen old people do that. And I thought, no, I don't want that for me. I want to be able to run and jump up the stairs, and jump down them and do all the things I used to do.
I completely understand.
I stand over a golf ball now, and I feel myself swaying. I don't have that center to hit it clean. Every now and again I do, and I go, that's it. I'm on the way back, and then the next hole I have an 8, and I go, God Almighty, what's wrong with me?
I know where you're coming.
About stillness and concentration, and I lose as you've discovered here, I lose my thought all the time, train of thought. I've got enough of it left, but I forget things, not remembering Richard Burton. And now there's also another thing. I was trying to remember a friend of mine, a girlfriend who taught me the Baha'i faith. Her name was Ilona Rogers. She married a fellow called David Warren. So she's Mrs. Warren, which is so unheard in terms of, I know her as Ilona Rogers, the actress.
Right.
It's like calling Elizabeth Taylor Mrs. Burton,
Right.
You take on your husband's name, which is another thing which shouldn't happen in life. Hazel has done something clever. She's called Hazel Butterfield Tate because her name was Hazel Butterfield. So she's just added me on the end. Rather than Hazel Tate, she's Hazel Butterfield Tate. And
that's good.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There was, the Warren thing. I couldn't remember it in this interview. I kept on wanting to call him David Warner, and I knew it wasn't right. So I didn't say it. And then I just felt like somebody who's an Alzheimer victim because I couldn't remember things. But I do remember a lot of stuff. So I don't think I'm going that way yet.
Nah, we all do that.
Yeah. Well, folks, thanks for being staunch and staying there. I would like to have some kind of recall with a science fiction show. But, I can't play Alan Carter anymore unless some clever person works out a way of finding Alan Carter who's 80.
You never know.
I play a lot of 70-year-olds.
You never know. Yeah. Yeah, we need to update your website because there's some films on there that's not in there. So I'm going to send everybody to nicktate.com so they can see some of the films that.
What's not? I'm sorry. What's not?
I didn't see Battle of Britain in there.
Well, no, that's it. Look, because it's a walk-on. Bring us back a haggis. The fact that somebody saw me in that. I've got another thing very recently, which I don't want on my resume, and that is the film that Robert Redford made famous, Gatsby.
Gatsby.
Yeah, The Great Gatsby. They've remade it with Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was supposed to be playing his benefactor. I was auditioned for it. I was told that I was a front runner, that I had it. And then this time I didn't vanish. This time what happened was I was in America and the Indian actor that got the role happened to be in Australia shooting a film, a Bollywood film in Australia. And he met Steven Spielberg, who's into Bollywood films. And Steven liked him so much, he said, stop negotiating with Nick Tate. They were negotiating for me to be in the show. Stop the negotiations. I want whatever this actor's name is. Look, he's very good in the film. I mean, I'm clever enough and fair-minded enough to give somebody his due. He was very good in the film. But he wasn't the New York Jew that they wanted me to be. The character's a New York Jew. He's in the original film with Robert Redford. And he's a gangster, a charming gangster. But this man is clearly Indian and couldn't play a charming gangster, New York Jew.
Mm-hmm.
But just Steven said, forget that. We don't need that anymore, He can be who he is. And as I say, he's a wonderful actor. But I didn't get the role because Steven met him accidentally somewhere. They were negotiating with me. Now, so when I went back to Australia some months later, the film was finished. And they were in their very last day to finish the film. And I got a call from my agent saying they're finishing Gatsby on Wednesday. And Baz Luhrmann has asked that Nick come down and meet him and be in a final scene. I said, what for? I'm not in the film. And he said, no, not playing the role that they've already shot. He's got something else he'd like you to do. I didn't know what it was. So I thought, I've never met Baz Luhrmann. Anytime I've done an audition from him, I was overseas. It got sent to him and he never used me. So I thought he can't like me. So I thought best thing to do is go back and meet him. So I went out to the studios, Pagewood in Australia. And no, they're not Pagewood. They're at the Sydney Showground. And Paramount Studios are out there now. And I met him and he was charming to me. And he said, look, this is just a bit of a joke. He said, but the two kids, the young people in the show, they're going to catch a taxi and take it out to the Hamptons. And they just jump in the cab and cab driver turns around and says to them, where do you want to go, kids? And they tell him and he says, gotcha. And he drives off. Be a couple of days work, you do this, and then we'll go to the Hamptons and shoot The Arrival at the other end. Well, I wanted to say, go and stick it up your jumper, man. I'm not going to say one line, where do you want to go, kids, in your film? Why would I do that? But then, I do know that there are actors that like making comedy cameo appearances in other films that you wouldn't expect them in. For example, in the movie Hook, Glenn Close has a cameo in that film. Have I talked to you about this before?
Not Glenn Close. No.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you've seen the movie, I
Mhm.
defy anybody that's seen the movie that hasn't been told that that's Glenn Close. Hello? She actually plays one of the pirates, but it's just
Right.
one moment. It's one moment. She came on the set, as a lot of people did. Bruce Willis came on the set, and they poured a bucket of urine on him
Oh,
because he'd refused to give back some money that he made in a movie, and he said the reason why the film went over budget was because the crew charged too much money, and crews right around America hated him for saying that because he was on like $15 million for the movie, and he was saying the reason why the budgets of the films were going up was because the crews were charging too much money, which wasn't true. It was more true that he was getting $15 million and didn't deserve it. That nearly finished his career. He had to eat a lot of crow after that. But people knew that he'd come to see Stephen. And so the crew members up on the rack, up on the top, they pissed into a big container full of lemonade
wow.
container. They tied a string to it and they put it over the gangplank that he'd have to walk up. And as soon as he was walking up the gangplank, they, about 20 yards away, hit and pulled a string, made this thing fall over and rain urine all down on the gangplank. And as Bruce Willis walked onto the gangplank, they did that to him. And after that, he was in about 10 movies in a row where he played little cameo roles, doing virtually nothing. And I dipped my lid to him for that because he got back into their hearts by doing that. And he also contributed money to certain funds. He's a smart guy.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. But I digressed again. I was telling you something.
Glenn Close.
Glenn Close. So she comes to Stephen and says, thank you for letting me have a look at the set. She said, I'd love to play something in the film. And he said, well, we've done all the scenes with the ladies. He said, it's just pirates now. And of course, there were no female pirates. And she said, why not? And he said, well, I don't have a female pirate that I can give you. So she says, but I could play a pirate. And he said, no, Glenn, look, I love you to death, but don't be silly. So she goes away and she went down to the wardrobe and makeup department and they said, make me look like a man. The guy said, what? He said, I want to get into this film. Put a beard on me, make me look like a man. So they got her all geared up into this men's clothes and put a beard on her. She comes back onto the set and we haven't finished filming. And she walks up to Stephen and she bumps into him and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And she says, no, you're not. And he goes, what? Get out of the way. Who do you think you are? Something like that, you know. She just attacked him and he went, Jesus, who are you? And she goes, Glenn Close. Goes, oh my God. Okay, you got the part. So she had the moxie to do that. And of course, for her, she gets paid a fortune. You can't give Glenn Close basic fee, you know. I think she might have worked for nothing just in order to do it. But, you know, and so I knew that story. And so I thought, well, maybe there's some value in, because, you know, it'll be in a quiz somewhere. Who did Glenn Close play in Hook? And nobody's going to know unless they do know. And the same thing applies to, you know, so it could become a good trivia quiz. You know, who is Glenn Close in Hook? That's going to get her more recognition on the planet than all sorts of other things. So if somebody says who was Nick Tate in Gatsby, now you know.
Nibbler.
But the trouble is that it's me, you know, and so people are watching the film and then somebody turns around in a taxi and it's a huge close-up of me. Where do you want to go, kids? You know,
kids?
And somebody goes, that's Nick Tate. Where?
Yeah.
Well, he was made. He'll come back, and I don't come back. Camera. Here's the beat of this. I get in the taxi. You can't tell the taxi driver's looking the other way, and they said Hamptons, and I turn around. I go, yeah. Where do you want to go, kids? In other words, what's the address? How long is that? Where do you want to go, kids? 3 seconds. 3 seconds I'm on camera in huge slam bang close up. Why did he do that? Why didn't he just have me in wide shot so that people could say later on who was that? Yeah, but literally speaking, it is long enough for anybody that knows me to recognize that it's Nick Tate and say that's me. And I don't want my name in the titles for that, because I can't sit down and tell everybody that story. So a casting director's looking at my resume and they see Nick Tate's in Gatsby and they go, hang on a minute, I've seen the film Gatsby, Tate's not in it. See, that's not a good thing. Unless they know that I did it for a joke.
Right.
And it's awkward, you know. I just didn't want it there. So I've asked them to take it off my resume. If you've got my name on Gatsby there for anything, take it off. I don't want it there.
I don't have
It's
it.
doing me no favors, because
I wouldn't
people ask me that, and then I have to tell them that elaborate story, and it's so what at the end.
Right.
I got to go back to my friends. Not that you're not my friend too. I just got to go back and finish this.
I love you.
All right.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before then.
Goodbye, folks. I don't know where to look. Am I looking at the lens now?
Yes. Yes, you are.
There it is. Where's the lens? There it is.
Right there.
I love you all. Thank you for even knowing that I exist. And I'll see you in heaven. No, not for years. Not for years.
We got a long ways for that. But you have a Merry Christmas.
Maybe I'll see you in the movies. Huh?
Maybe so.
I'll be watching.
You tell Hazel and all your family we love you and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Todd. I feel the same way about you and the unknown fans. If you're crazy enough to be a fan, thank you. Keep in touch with Todd and he'll tell me what you're saying and asking. All right?
Right on.
Okay, bye-bye, guys. Bye.
See you, mate. Okay, guys. That was a nice little interview. Sorry about the Facebook problems. I found out it's some kind of block that they put on me because I showed those movie clips. So if you want to watch the full thing, go to my YouTube page, Todd's Corner. Just look it up on YouTube. You'll find it. Subscribe to me while you're there, please. This has been a wonderful year. I don't know how to thank all of you. I'm going to continue in 2022, and we're going to bring Nick back and some other fans. As most of you know, I started a Star Trek props and ships group also, so we're going to try and get some, Trek stuff going, interviews and stuff like that. So, hey, the sky's the limit. So with all you guys, I can do just about anything we want to do, but Nick's a very special friend of mine, and he loves you guys, and he and I talk quite a bit. He's a wonderful guy, and I really enjoy interviewing him and letting him tell us stories. I learned a lot of new things tonight that he didn't tell us the last few times, so it's pretty cool. You can always email me at 1999proptionships@gmail.com. 1999proptionships@gmail.com. And ask me any questions, and I'll show them over to Nick, and we'll do another interview, one where he's not so tied up and everything, but he's a good guy, and so are you for hanging in and watching with me. I appreciate it. Like, again, I'm sorry about the Facebook thing. You know how they are with, any music in the background or any, they're like, oh no, we got to shut that down. He's got copyright for that. That's so immature and so stupid. I'm interviewing the man that was in those movies. Those clips are on his website. So I don't get it. I'll appeal all that stuff and see if we can get it back. But I will save in my Facebook pages from the YouTube a link for anybody that missed out on this stuff. You can go to and watch the full version. So, last show of the year. Thank you, people. I love y'all. Let's get geared up for 2022 and have a very safe and productive holiday. Merry Christmas. If you follow me on my regular personal page, you know I'm a very happy guy right now. And it's just amazing when you're not looking for something, how things just happen to creep up on you and you find yourself in a relationship with a wonderful, wonderful person. I was done with all that stuff, I thought, but not no more. I'm going to be a whole new person next year. It's already started. So looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and be safe. And I'll see you soon. I love you. I love all you guys. Peace out. Have a good one.